welcome to Q Primary Presents Intentional Tech. I am your host, Kayla Harlow, and I am so excited to start this journey into a ed tech and STEM integration focused show that is really going to target those K-2 learners. As we know, our little learners have very, very different needs than other students or other age groups when it comes to technology integration in the classroom. So my focus is to empower educators and parents alike to embrace the technology in their classroom while prioritizing creation over consumption. It is so important that we keep that hands-on learning going and we really limit the screen time essentially. So I am an ed tech advocate, yet a limited screen time parent. Today's show is focusing on how to make mornings matter in the primary classroom. Today's guest is Meredith Jones, who is an active member of the Monterey Bay Q affiliate group, as well as the Santa Barbara County Q affiliate group. She has been teaching 15 years, most of that time spent in the first and second grade classroom. She is a fellow Q Rockstar presenter and the 2020 Monterey County Teacher of the Year. So, without further ado, hi Meredith. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to come on today to talk about how you make mornings matter in your second grade classroom. We're so excited to hear about all of the hands-on activities you have going on over in your classroom. So to start off, we would love to hear what inspired you to want to switch things up from your traditional morning routines and really delve into the STEM tubs.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is so exciting to be here. I started STEM Tubs about, I would say 6 or 7 years ago. Actually, another coworker of mine was using another variation of STEM Tubs, and she was just, I could hear the kids talking in our classroom, like first thing in the morning, and I just thought, that sounds really interesting. Like, what a different way to like spin your mornings, right? When they come in and they just start talking right away. They just start talking. And I noticed immediately, as soon as I implemented these STEM tubs or STEAM tubs, because sometimes they do pull out the art, my attendance like skyrocketed. So immediately I saw attendance just like shoot through the roof where they like came in running every day to be the first ones in the room.
I bet they weren't late.
Nope, they're not. And even now, right, through this like wonky year that we're having, my attendance is still pretty phenomenal. Most students, of course, when they've gotten sick, like they're here every day and they come in every single day ready to like be invigorated and be exciting and talk to each other. So I just knew I wanted to start my mornings more exciting. And I wanted them to have that opportunity to actually have those relationships and create relationships with their friends on like kind of their terms. And so I wanted to try something new. And since I've implemented it, it's just been a huge success throughout. I've done it in first grade and now second grade.
Awesome. And what were you doing prior to implementing your tubs in the morning? And
I think that's like the $1 million question, right? Like, how do you get the kids into the classroom and in like ready to go? And I had tried numerous different things like coming in and reading, coming in and doing like a coloring page, coming in and doing seat work. And I just knew that it was not very fun for me to put those out on their desks every day and for them to come in. And so it gave me an opportunity to like meet them at the door and greet them. And I didn't have to do anything, right? Like other than stand at the door and say good morning to them to prepare for my morning for them. They came in and they did what they wanted to do at their desks.
It's awesome. And we'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about routines, about kind of getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. A lot of teachers, and I know when I was a new teacher, I really liked control. I liked them to come in. I liked to, and so it does get a little bit uncomfortable for those that are new to it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But we talked about the $1 million question just now, but there's another one, funding. So these ideas are great, but how do we go about funding these types of activities? And I know you have some creative ways that you've done it, whether it's fundraising or some kind of thrifty hacks. And then we also, for all of the audience that are watching this, have an opportunity to enter a giveaway from Hand to Mind for some of Brooke Brown's STEM bins. So be sure to stick around at the end and I'll tell you how to enter that giveaway. But how do you go about funding for your makerspace and your STEM bins?
Sure. I mean, initially it was like, okay, what did I have? Right. So I have like dominoes in a bin. I have colored pencils in a bin. So like Jenga, right? So like I had a Jenga at my house. I brought in things and then I asked parents, do you have cards that you could donate? So I have a whole bin of playing cards. And I think that's one of the tubs that like when they come and sit down and they actually get out the cards and they want to play together, like I didn't foster that. They wanted to do that. They came in. So just having that tool there for them and giving them that opportunity was so exciting. They pick it every day. Somebody picks cards every day. And it's so simple, right? Everybody has a deck of cards laying around their house.
Which is really interesting because you kind of tie in not only that STEM learning, but the cultural aspect of what games are they bringing into the classroom, the card games that maybe they play with their families or their big brothers, big sisters. So that's a really interesting way to really tie in that culture aspect. Very cool. Tell us more.
And then, I've been on different committees and like I've been on an education innovation team and they gave us a little stipend for some items. Amazon wish lists, crowdsourcing to putting them on social media and then, down to donors choose and writing projects to get manipulatives into these kiddos' hands. All of those sources have been hugely helpful in helping me supply my students with opportunities for innovation and that huge SEL component.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think for me, I'm an over preparer or a perfectionist. So I would look at like these activities behind you or these resources behind you and want to give them like task cards or things like that, which I know you can do, but the beauty of what you do, and I've seen a snippet of it, is that you don't. And it really leads into that innovation and creativity, leaves space for those kids to create and socialize and figure out what they're going to do. They could use the same thing every day, but use it differently. And that's the beauty of it. So I'm going into our next bullet point. Talk to me about routines. So we are just heading into summer right now, which is well-deserved. But if people are watching back, preparing for back to school, what routines or, must-have procedures do you have in place just to get started, the most basic?
Right. It's so I go back to thinking about my first few days of each school year, and they do start this right from the beginning, but it's not the very first thing that they get to do. They do start coming in and in the first few days of school, they do have a coloring page at their table, but then we're able to pull them onto the carpet and really introduce the different STEM tubs where, showing them how to walk with it, showing them where to play with it, showing them how to play with it, with expectations that they're not going to hurt each other. They're not going to hurt their friends. They're not going to throw it across, really like sitting down with each STEM tub. Do you do this with the domino? Show me how you would set up a domino. And then, even going back to cleaning it up, and cleaning it up every day seems to be, where, they're still 7. They need reminders and they need you to remind them, okay, that's not the expectation and how we put things away. I've years in the past taken a picture of what it's supposed to look like and I put a picture of it above it so they can see where it's supposed to go and how it's supposed to go. So that has been helpful for the kiddos who just need to see it visually. I do find STEM pieces on the floor, and I just have to say, hey, can you pick that up real fast for me, please, and put it away? And they do. You just have to gently remind them, and we leave things out as adults, right? So it's just
absolutely
routines going over it. And every once in a while, it does get a little crazy back here, but I just say, hey guys, we don't have STEM tubs tomorrow if this doesn't get cleaned before we go home. And before you know it, there are 3 children running to the back of the room to make sure it looks the way it's supposed to look. Yeah. And I do have a pretty hard rule about they have to play at their tables. Like if you have Jenga at this table, like table 5, right? You shouldn't be playing Jenga on the floor with somebody from table 1. I need you kind of confined to that general area. That's mostly a safety reason also, because if something does happen, I need them to make sure they're in a place where they're supposed to be. And I can kind of help monitor and direct, say we need to evacuate, how to get them safely to another place. So we're not running across the classroom. Things like marbles. I have a few marble runs. I do let them play that down at the carpet, but again, they have to play with people. Carpet. Yeah, okay. And they have to play with people from their table.
Okay, so how does that work in the morning? Does one person from the table get to choose? Because I know choice is a big part of this. Does one person get to choose for the entire table in the morning?
No, and that's the beauty of it. One person could do the marbles by themselves on the carpet, and then hi, I'm in a meeting. Yeah, thank you. But the other 4 kids at the table, they don't have to go there. They can get another tub and they can go to their own table and they can play by themselves.
Okay, so the table space is the boundary, but whoever can be at whatever table.
Yes.
Can they transfer tables in between that time? Okay, that was something that
Yep, they have to. If they've picked marbles or they pick dominoes, they have to pick dominoes the entire time. Otherwise, it just gets too chaotic. People going back and forth, back and forth. But it doesn't happen very often where they want to pack up and they change their mind. Usually, because it's on their term, they'll ask a friend, hey, do you want to play with me at their table? And they're like, yeah. And then, I want to color with you. And they sit and they start coloring. So I don't get that too often where they want to switch it up because they chatted with each other, they problem solved together, and they're communicating what their wants and their needs are for that individual time.
Stellar. So 2 more questions in regards to the routines. I want to talk about, do you cap out the number of kids at a station? And then how do you go about transitioning out of that morning STEM tub time where they respect your boundaries and transition well?
Yeah. So I have 5 kids at a table and I have, several marble runs, but to kind of keep the chaos a little bit contained, not every table can have a marble run because for some reason it gets to be the most exciting center or STEM tub. And so they all want to play it. So usually I have 4 kids at my door at we can come in at 7:45. And so my students come in at 7:45 ready to go. And those are usually the first kids that want that marble run. And so they know that once there's 3 or 4 kids there, that's it. Mrs. Jones will say, no, I'm sorry, there's too many kiddos there. Find another tub. And they're happy. They oblige and they grab something else.
That's awesome. I want to point out that your start time is not at 7:45, correct? So you're getting those kids in the door the minute that they are able to, which just shows the level of engagement and motivation that your students have. So props to you. And then we're going to move on to the transitions. And then finally, the positive outtakes or outcomes that you have seen.
So at the end of STEM tubs, I usually around 8:06, 8:07, I start to take attendance where I'll just start to call their names and they know, okay, I'm standing in the front. I'm ready to take attendance. Usually by 8:06, I have almost everybody in the classroom. They're there when our start time is at 8:00. So usually by 8:06, I have until 8:14, I think it is, or 8:13 to get attendance in. So I know I need to be up in that general vicinity, starting to take attendance. And then once they know that I'm getting through it, they start to automatically know it's time to clean up. It's kind of their like, oh, Mrs. Jones is taking attendance. And sometimes if it's a little too loud, I just do class, I need to take attendance. And then they kind of just start transitioning on their own. And by the time we're done with, all 29 kiddos, here with their hot lunches, I'll say, okay, everybody, let's clean up, get out your journals. And it just happens. They just clean up.
It goes to show how well you establish those procedures and routines at the beginning of the year. They know your expectations. You're not hounding them to clean up or ringing a loud bell or anything like that. And that's beautiful. That's what happens when the kids are motivated and engaged. They respect the class's time boundaries and you and each other. So that is just awesome. I appreciate you sharing. I know you did have kind of a couple. Do you want to do any examples? Or we have about 5 minutes left. So you can go ahead and do your examples. And then
this marble run, like you can see this box, right? Like this is their most favorite. And I do have a couple others of these. So like if it's during like a fun Friday time in the afternoon, I will pull out like one other marble run so more kiddos can use it. It never fails, but I have stencils and markers. I bought these for one of my daughters, like on Amazon, and then she wasn't using it at home. So I brought it in, and somebody is always using stencils and drawing pictures. I had a kiddo draw me a picture today with like different two-dimensional shapes. The hashtag blocks, I have seen the most creative things. And I think I sent you a couple pictures of those.
Yeah.
What they were make with these. Those seem to be really popular. And then also these straws. And these straws are fun because I can ask a lot of like just questions while they're, hey, how tall did you get that? How many like cubes across? So like integrating like little questions with them, and probing, okay, can you make it a little bit taller? Can you make it taller than me? Okay, I saw you made it taller than Charlotte. Now, can you make it shorter? And so just questions like that to help them kind of even think about math without even realizing they're thinking about math. No,
incorporating those academic conversations are so vital. That is awesome. Another thrifty hack of my own that I always used was Goodwill has the best, obviously it's a hunt if you can put up with it, but they have some of the best old school hands-on manipulatives that I have ever found, because there is that trend of that new and nifty stuff on the store shelf. But if you go back to the basics, and teachers at most Goodwills get 25% off on certain days, so look into your local Goodwill. They're a huge supporter of educators, so that's my little plug for them. So we have about a minute left. I so appreciate your time. As we finish out our conversation, I want to hear what are the biggest takeaways that you have since implementing this? Why should other teachers consider it, even if they're uncomfortable with the idea?
Yeah. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable with the noise, right? It takes a little while for you to get used to them talking to each other, but they're not they're playing with each other, which is more than ever what our children need right now, our students need right now. They need that opportunity to communicate with each other. For the English language learner, the newcomer who doesn't have these things at home, who have never seen a Jenga set at home, have those opportunities to come in and play and learn a new game with their friend teaching them. So really just kind of stepping back, letting the kids be kids, letting them get excited about things with attendance skyrocketing, and really giving them that opportunity to be social and to, read other social cues and really come in excited for the day.
It is just Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on to chat today, and I look forward to announcing the winner of the giveaway, and I'll tell you how to enter in just a minute.
You can enter to win your very own set of STEM bins from Hand to Mind, inspired by Brooke Brown. Simply go to littledigitalearners.com/Q giveaway, follow the link in bio, or scan the QR code provided.
Thank you, Meredith, for coming on today to share about your experience and expertise in how to use STEM tubs for your morning meeting activity to foster relationships as well as encourage academic conversations between yourself and your students or your students and their peers. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you, and I look forward to all of the future guests that we have outlined for Q Primary Presents Intentional Tech.
I am your host, Kayla Harlow, and we all know that sharing is caring. And the call for presenters for Fall Q is officially open. If you are a primary educator interested in presenting at Fall Q, please go to qlearns.org/fall submit and check out Q's new community portal at q.org. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Resources can be found at littledigitalearners.com/podcast, and be sure to subscribe, like, or follow. And always remember, technology is a tool and not